Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlota. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tigers Live. I'm your host, Francis Carlota, host of Tigers Live for Bluff City Media. Memphis gets a pretty good win at home against North Texas, 68-64. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination. But look, y'all, you don't got to tell me. I will take ugly wins over beautiful losses any day of the week. And so I'll take this victory. I'll take this win 68-64 against what everyone believes and probably everyone knows at this point is the second best team in the American Athletic Conference. Granted, again, AAC, well documented, not the best conference in the world, not at all, not deep, not that good. But North Texas, give them credit. They defend really well. They know how to defend the ball. They really grind you out to slow you down. They play basically like Virginia in terms of they're going to try and bring that shot clock down when they have the ball to 5 seconds left. Really grind you out, slow you down, not push the tempo, and force you to speed them up. And that's what they did today. They executed their game plan, in my mind, I thought pretty well. But Memphis, as we've seen time and time before, found a way to win, found a way to still play their brand of basketball in spurts and to adjust in the half court when needed. So yeah, at the end of the day, a win's a win. I don't care how ugly it is, y'all. I really don't care. They win. Memphis wins 68-64 over North Texas. As you all know, I will be joined by the beat writer for the Memphis Tigers, Roman Cleary, in just a few moments. I know he's got to get out of press row, get to his spot. And when I see Roman join the show, I will add him over. And then in the second half of the show, I'll be joined by special guest Xavier Dodson. You all know him. Zaytime Takes on Twitter. He does his thing with the recaps for the Memphis Grizzlies and the Memphis Tigers. He's one of the best out there. And so you'll hear from him. I'll get his thoughts on the Tigers and on this game as well in the latter half of the show. But I do see that Roman Cleary has joined the stream. So let me go ahead and add him in. Roman, can you hear me?
Hey, what's happening, man?
God, feeling good. Gritty win, but as I was saying before, I'd rather take ugly wins over beautiful losses any day of the week, and that's what this was. Pretty ugly win, but it's still a win. Give me your thoughts, Roman.
Well, first off, PJ Haggerty's insane, right? Let's just get out of the way before we talk about anything else. That deep three-pointer as the shot clock expired really felt like the ultimate separator in this one. No matter what North Texas did from that point, it was just going to be difficult to come back from the high that Memphis achieved there. And yeah, I mean, North Texas, they did make it, I want to say like a 2-point game in the final seconds there at a certain point. But still, that felt kind of like a clincher to me in a sense there. But yeah, overall, very scrappy, hard-fought win for Memphis. And it's obviously not the offensive performance that you were looking for, but this was the number 5 scoring defense in the country heading into this game. So it's not overly surprising that Memphis struggled a bit more on the offensive side in this one. We saw really slow starts to both halves of the Tigers. Of course, there was the 6-0 run from North Texas that got them out to a 14-7 lead in the first half, and then they kind of did the same thing to get out to that 38-33 lead in the second half. But credit to Memphis, they had responses to both of those runs. And I think they largely controlled both of the halves outside of the first 6 minutes of both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great point about the slow starts. Without those slow starts to start the game, to start the second half, Memphis would have won this game pretty easily, just based on the scores. But credit North Texas for doing what they do. This is how they play basketball: slow, grind it out, defense first. I think I was saying in the intro, I think they executed their game plan pretty well. They just happened to lose the game. Besides the turnovers that Memphis forced, I thought North Texas played their game and they just got beat. So on the offensive side for Memphis, do you credit North Texas' defense or Memphis being, again, way too many turnovers and not taking care of the basketball, or is it a bit of both for you?
I mean, It's probably a mixture of both, but to me, it really just felt like North Texas just knew what they were doing on the defensive end of things. They are such a disciplined, well-coached team, and when you're facing that, it's going to be difficult to produce high numbers in the offensive end, regardless of what you do. I don't really think he was, Danger had 7 turnovers. That's not great, but besides that, I really don't think it was anything that Memphis was doing wrong. It's just North Texas is just a hard team to combat. They're very different from most of the teams you're going to play in the AAC. I mean, most teams just don't have the physicality or the gritty toughness necessary to really hang with Memphis. But North Texas is one of the few that does. And I think we just have to acknowledge that to be the case here. But at the end of the day, Memphis won this game because it's a better team.
Yeah, a good shout. I compared North Texas to Virginia with how they play defense, how they want to slow the game down on offense. And so, again, credit Penny for the non-conference scheduling for getting Memphis to look at a team similar to how North Texas plays. Because in the past, you could argue that if they hadn't faced Virginia or a defensive-minded team like that, they could have faced North Texas for the first time and been a little bit discombobulated on how to attack and the game plan against a team that plays this slowly. But having faced Virginia earlier in the year, again, kind of similar thing, facing North Texas, and I think that gave them a little bit of a good look for this game. What do you think were some turning points in the game? Not necessarily moment of the game, but what do you have any like big turning points in your mind besides the PJ Haggerty 3?
Yeah, well, no, the Haggerty 3 is one of them, but the other one I really want to look towards is a play from just a few minutes prior to that, and that's Musa Cisse diving for that loose ball on the floor and passing it ahead to Haggerty to put Memphis back up by 5. Those were the 2 big specific moments that I really think about in this game. It's the Haggerty 3-pointer as the shot clock expires, and Musa diving for that loose ball and throwing it up ahead to Haggerty. Memphis just made they won the little plays more than North Texas did. And I think that was kind of a difference here. When it came down to it, when a play had to be made, Memphis executed the little stuff a little bit better than the Mean Green did. And that, I think, is probably the biggest difference overall, besides just Memphis having better talent.
Yeah. Really, every time Memphis started pressing North Texas, I know it's been a discussion point in the past about should Memphis press more, should Memphis press less? And I know we talked about on the last Tigers Live where all three of you, Kenny, myself, were all pretty complimentary of how Memphis didn't press FAU that much, and they just defended the ball really well. Well, today against North Texas, I feel like the tide really turned when Memphis started to press and force the tempo, speed North Texas up, because again, they like to play so methodically, so slowly, so controlled, so that Memphis speeding North Texas up really was effective. And I thought that they utilized the press at good times. Maybe they could have pressed them more so that the game wasn't so close at the end. But I still think they pressed at good times to generate enough separation from the two teams. I see a lot of comments in the chat about Dane. A lot of comments about his turnovers. So, Roman, what did you see from Dane today that may have led to all those turnovers?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing that we saw when Dane turned the ball over a bunch in the Mississippi State game. He just doesn't respond well to getting double teamed in the post. That just seems to be kind of his kryptonite there, is when you suddenly bring a second body at him when he makes that sudden move in the post. North Texas and Mississippi State both did the same thing. Danger will be backing up on a defender, and then as he turns to his right and makes that move that would typically result in a basket, another guy is there all of a sudden, and instead it leads to a turnover. So, I mean, unfortunately, Memphis hasn't exactly worked out a way to kind of counteract that, but that just seems to be Danger's weakness right there, is that when you give him a second body in the post, he turns the ball over more often than not. So, good strategy by both the Mean Green and Mississippi State there on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, just to add on a little bit to that, Timo said Dane has 7 turnovers, which means he's either handling the ball too much outside the post and he's making too many decisions. So the making too many decisions things is kind of going to what you're saying, that when you force a double team on him, Dane has to make a decision with the ball, whether to kick out, whether to drive, whether to try and go up. You speed him up. Whenever you're a post player, you have to operate with a clock in the back of your brain. And if you send a double to a post player, that speeds up your internal clock. And so that's definitely definitely a causing factor for Dane having all those turnovers. But I also like the point that Timo made about Dane handling the ball too much. I heard it a couple times brought up in the broadcast that John Crispin said that Dane has to do a better job of getting the ball in better positions. There are too many times where Danger would either catch the ball and then start like on a dribble, so he couldn't pick it up and start dribbling because it would be a double dribble. So he has to do a better job catching it cleanly. The entry passes have to be better as well. That's absolutely. But Dane's got to do a better job catching it cleanly, and he's got to do a better job of catching the ball in better positions. Because I think in today's game, there were a lot of moments where Dane had to dribble drive and generate looks off the bounce. And when you're that big, though as talented and skilled he is, when you're that big, it's very easy for little guards to get low and dig and swipe at the ball and just take the ball from a big guy. It's just harder no matter how skilled Dane is. So I think that contributed to the high amount of Dane turnovers. But you also take the turnovers with the good that he had today. He still scored. When we check the box score, Dane Dainja still had 14
it was
points.
13. It was 14? Okay.
Yeah, 14 points, and he was going toe-to-toe against Mule Sissoko, who was basically North Texas's offense besides Brendan Lorient. But him and Sissoko were going tit for tat in the post, and it was pretty fun to watch. It kind of felt like the Phoenix Forum were started rumbling for a moment because they're banging bodies down there. But you take the good with the bad. I understand the turnovers are a concern, but I'm not too upset with Dane Dainja's performance just because he still was able to keep Memphis in the game, able to respond when Sissoko would really just be pretty much forced down low. Question kind of along those lines, though, to you, Roman. Yeah. It's another game where Memphis got dominated on the boards after a couple of good performances of Memphis on the boards. So is that a concern for you at all about the rebounding? Because today they got out rebounded pretty handily against North Texas.
I mean, it's not ideal. Let's just get that out of the way first. It's definitely not ideal. Yeah. But I think it is also kind of a testament to how good Memphis is in a way, the fact that they were able to win this game against a quality opponent like North Texas while being out-rebounded in that manner, in that fashion. I mean, you obviously don't want to see it again moving forward, and I doubt you'll see it again too many times as you move forward in the American Athletic Conference schedule. But overall, I'm not overly concerned about it, to answer your question there.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. King Mix said it in the chat. Oh, go ahead, Roman.
And plus, again, like that's just North Texas' MO, gritty, rebound, defense, that kind of thing. I mean, again, North Texas executed its game plan so well. It really didn't do much wrong in this game. Yep. They just faced a better team than them.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think North Texas played bad. Besides the turnovers where Memphis sped them up in the press, I heard the announcer state that the North Texas head coach slammed the scorers table after some just bad turnovers. And so it's clear that was the worst sequences of the game for him. But otherwise, I thought they played a good game. Defensively, they were locked in. They didn't allow really any easy looks. They didn't let Colby Rogers get open looks. Tyrese Hunter didn't get a lot of good looks. PJ Haggerty was just PJ Haggerty. He's damn near impossible to guard one-on-one. But that's the counter to how good North Texas is on defense. So again, I thought North Texas did their job. I thought they played a solid game. But as King Meek said, last season we would have lost that game. And I think that's a good point to the comments that you were making, Roman. To be out-rebounded 30-21, to lose the assist battle 11-7, to turn the ball over 15 times, maybe Memphis might lose that game last year or in the past. But this team, with a little more experience, with a little more cohesion, with a little more buy-in, playing with a little more effort, they were able to pull this victory out at home, which could have been, it would have been a quad 3 loss, right, Roman, if they had lost this game. I know it could flip to quad 2, but quad 3 if they lost, right?
I mean, it would have been a quad 3 loss for now, but I seriously doubt it would have remained a quad 3 loss. I'd
Gotcha.
bet almost anything that it would have been a quad 2 had North Texas won. But to answer a question from USA Health down in the chat, I'm in the forum, so if you hear any talking in the background, it's probably going from my end as people are coming through the hallway here and things like that. So apologies for that in advance. But yeah, no. What was your question again? I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I was just trying to figure out if or I was just elaborating on the point that King Meek said that this game, the game that they probably would have lost in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, last year's team certainly would have lost it. Let's just be honest there. The team before that with Kendrick, I don't know, because
probably would
I
have
felt
won.
like I felt like that team was pretty scrappy, pretty high effort, even though they aren't as good defensively as this team is, in my opinion. But yeah, no, it takes a good team to win games like this, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Another point by Coach Kelly here. Tigers win with just 4 fast break points. Like, how that wasn't on my bingo card entering the season for them to win a game with only 4 fast break points. Are you serious? That's pretty wild to think about. But it goes to the points that we brought up before about this team. They found multiple different ways to win basketball games. They know how to grind it out and get a victory. They know how to get onto an offensive track meet and play that type of basketball too. This is a solid basketball team. I don't think anyone should be discouraged about beating North Texas just by 4 points. I'm sure there will be Tigers fans out there who will be, but nobody should be discouraged.
North Texas is the best team in this conference besides Memphis. Well, we got to remember that North Texas is easily the best team in the AAC besides Memphis. So you should not be discouraged if you're a Memphis fan over having a closer game against the Mean Green, because they're gonna beat a lot of teams in this league for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's something to the point that.
Penny Hardaway is here, so I believe I have to depart now.
Okay. All right, Roman. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon. Take care, all right? All right, that was Roman Cleary. I'm glad someone in the chat, who was it again? I'm sorry for missing it. USA Health Insurance Reform wondering where Roman is. He's at the FedEx Forum. So all the background noise, he is like big time Roman Cleary. That's what he is. He's big time over in the FedEx Forum covering the Memphis Tigers for Bluff City Media. He has to go to cover the press conference for Penny Hardaway. Unfortunately, no press conferences today for Tigers Live, but that's all right. No big deal. We got a special guest. We got Xavier Dodson on the other side. I will send this to a commercial break, and y'all have Xavier on, get his thoughts on the game, get his thoughts on the Memphis Tigers season as a whole. And then after that, we'll look ahead. And everyone in the chat, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for commenting. I'm going to try and get to everybody. Trying to do this live is never easy, but I'm going to do what I can to try and get through all the comments and highlight the ones that are good, that are great. So I'll send this to a commercial break, and we'll see you on the other side.
I think that Penny Hardaway has grown infinitely as a coach. He is more comfortable in his skin as a coach. He has made really, really strong decisions. Before the season started, he fired his coaching staff. He took a role player after giving him multiple chances to get back and get right with the team, told him to go away. Penny Hardaway made the decision for Tyreek Smith to not be on this team anymore.
He's better at dealing with bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's not better at dealing with bullshit. He just cuts the bullshit out. He gets rid of it before he
put up
with
it. I think that is, on top of all the other things you said, is one of the main reasons that we are going to see a different team, because Penny Hardaway is a different coach.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
I told you that I think I need to write in and tell somebody that I retired.
You officially retired?
So for me, I think it's literally, I just want to let everybody know I'm making my announcement here on Night Court.
This is breaking stuff.
That I'm retired. I'm not coming back. I think I'm going to hang up my sneakers. I've done as much as I can in this game that I can do. But I want to thank all my coaches, all my teammates, some of the GMs. The NBA is great to me and my family, man. Mm-hmm. So I would just like to say, I just want to say thank you.
Oh, no. Tears? Oh, my goodness. Can we go on, or should we just end it there?
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right. I see Xavier's here. Let me see if I can add him up. Give me a moment. Xavier, what's going on, man? Welcome to Tigers Live, man.
How you doing, Francis? I'm all right. How about you, man?
I'm well. Good to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you. I know you were on last year, but it's good to have you on again, man. I hope you had a great holiday season, man. I really do.
Same to you. Same to you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's good to have you. It's been a lot of Tigers basketballs happened, man, up to this point. A lot of good basketball overall. So I just want to get your thoughts before we dig a little deeper. Just give me your thoughts on this team. Your from your perspective, from what you've watched. What are you thinking about this Memphis Tigers team?
This is a confident, poised basketball Tigers team. Then, within the past 2 years, a squad that Penny really trusts, and as well the guys trust in Penny, and they're relying on defense, in which we all know that's what a Tigers top-notch heavy team is focused on. Defense first. And the guard play has been phenomenal. Between, you got the double-head swords of Haggerty and Hunter. You can throw Rogers in there as well. The guard play has been phenomenal. And then, the bigs are doing work. Dane coming off the bench. I love him. He's a big energy guy, regardless of if he does slow the game down. I love his effort. Cisse, he's been pretty good in terms of, protecting the rim. Jordan is the only guy from the previous team to come back. So he's providing so much in-depth knowledge in terms of what should a proper Tigers team look like, especially he saw a team that collapsed last year, short of expectations. So I'm very proud of this Tigers team right now. I know a lot of people are probably not necessarily just, so happy about this win against North Texas, but North Texas is a phenomenal team. Just don't be confused and get it fooled that because they don't have, just because they're not ranked and they're in the AAC, they're still disciplined, they're still well coached, and they played a good game. We the ones who just came out on top this time.
Yeah. Absolutely. All great points. I'm glad you shouted out the defense that this team is taking pride in. Penny's always been a defense first coach, but last year's team, it just seemed to be the least defense first team he's ever had. It's like they didn't think about that side of the ball as much as they should. This team is the exact opposite. And then you have Cisse anchoring the defense. And look, PJ Haggerty, he's not the best defender I've ever seen in the world. Colby Rogers is not the best defender I've ever seen in the world, but they play really hard. They are aggressive on the ball. They're active with their hands, and they just play hard, which is all you can ask for if for two guards who may not be the most talented defenders in the world. But Tyrese Hunter, that man's a dog on defense. I love watching him play defense. He's so active. He's so quick. His hands are very quick as well, and he moves his feet really well. He plays much bigger than his size. He's not a big guy, but he defends much bigger than that. So yeah, defense is I love that you brought that up. Today they held North Texas to 64 points. I don't know what their average per game point total is off the top of my head, but it's probably around 64, maybe a little higher. But the point I want to bring up is they held Aiden Wright to 0 points, one of their best guards. I think is their leading scorer, to 0 points, 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. You've seen that from Penny's teams in the past, where Penny will face a team with a great guard or two great guards, and he'll find ways to shut them down and just basically make them not a factor in the ball game. So, yeah, I think you made great points. This team seems different. They're, like you said, more confident, more poised, and Memphis should be excited about the team that they have. So let's dig a little deeper into this game, Zay. I asked Ron this question earlier. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. On the offensive side, all the turnovers, it's still an issue with turnovers. Do you think that Memphis just needs to do a better job valuing possessions, or are you crediting this offensive performance to North Texas's defense?
I'd say this a relative of the same way, similarities with the Grizzlies. The Tigers like to get their buckets in the fast break and especially play with a lot of tempo and pace. You have to have the right personnel and as well the players with the correct IQ and who can handle the pressure. If you're going to attack certain lanes, attack certain people, you got to be able to remain confident and cool and collected. If you are going to get doubled and dribbling traffic, you have to make those right passes and the right moves. A lot of the times I see Tigers players, I mean, we saw with Dang tonight, he had 7 turnovers. He just does not, he doesn't understand that there's a double coming and you can't have the ball and turn that way and the little guys will strip you. You have to have that IQ and the personnel to elaborate and collectively have a better whole offense right there. I give credit. North Texas did play some great and aggressive defense, but at the same time, though, turnovers has been sort of a common denominator for this Tigers team this season. And a lot of it is when you do play in the fast break, and the fast pace, high octane offense, turnovers are going to happen. But at the same time, these are common turnovers that we're seeing focus night in and night out with the Tigers, especially when players are getting doubled. Just take your time, man. I mean, maybe they'll go over this in practice, show some flashes of if there's a double coming, just kick it out to this guy or think. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you play basketball when a double comes, it's not like you have a lot of time to sit here and think about it. But at the same time, you still have to be able to not fold under pressure. I still give credit to North Texas because they came up with a great defensive strategy, man. Playing very aggressive, big time boxes and elbows defense. Rotations were pretty good, but I still give credit to the Tigers as well for breaking down that defense when it would become a half court game. I know in the first half when it was, early in there, I think it was like 16-17, Memphis was down. Penny had called a timeout. He came out and drew up a great play to give, I think it was a pick and roll, and I think Haggerty ended up finishing up with a layup. And I think at times the Tigers really need to focus on the half court offense as well compared to just, as well of just focusing on fast pace and fast break offense. Because at the end of the day, when you play against those good teams, they're going to try to force you to play the ball at the half court setting and limit fast breaks, opportunities, and turnovers. And that's when you rely on coaching so your players will know, all right, what play should I run? Is there a weakness on this guy right here? Can I break him down this way? But I think the Tigers still did a decent job tonight offensively, showing up, even though North Texas did put up a fight defensively.
Yeah, I remember that exact play. I have it written down. It was 14-16, or the layup made it 14-16, and I have it as a Tyrese Hunter layup. When it was just a spread pick and roll, and Hunter came aggressive over the screen. That's another thing I want to point out too. There are some moments where PJ or Tyrese coming around the screen, they're not aggressive enough going downhill, and I think they probably mentally want to get other people involved, want to find the roller. But I also think they're especially Tyrese, he's so fast. I think they're both definitely good enough attacking the rim to come off a screen and just looking to get fouled or finish at the hole. I think they can do a little better job being more decisive coming off of those movements. But no, I think you make really good points. The scary part about this team is they have, as I've said before, so many ways to score the basketball. So I think if you play a half-court game, the great equalizer to that half-court style game is PJ Haggerty, right? He's just so damn good breaking defenders down, getting to his spot, rising up for a mid-range shot, or getting to the rim, or just getting fouled, man. He's almost impossible to guard one-on-one. And so when you play that slowed down half-court game, you need that equalizer, and PJ is one of those equalizers. Danger as well is one of those equalizers because you can just throw him the ball in the post when you have a possession that's like a 23, 25-second possession. Just throw the ball at Danger in the post and let him go one-on-one, and he'll score because he's just so talented. I want to see Memphis do a better job getting its shooters open in those situations as well. I granted, again, like you said, credit North Texas's defense. They did a great job, like you said, playing aggressive up top and just not allowing easy looks from three. Colby Rogers was basically a non-factor because he just couldn't get any clean looks off. He just was not able to get open. But that goes like what you said, coaching, trying to make sure to get the players in the right positions. And I'm sure that they have those plays in their playbook. They just got to do a better job of getting into their sets and executing them in game time. But yeah, I think it's totally fair to credit North Texas and then also to credit Memphis for being able to adapt, being able to adjust it against this type of opponent. So yeah, credit for sure to both sides for the game plan that both teams had.
And then, another thing is too, I don't want people to panic. I'm reading the comments. Somebody said this is starting to look like last year's Tigers team. I don't think there's no need to panic about this Tigers team. At the end of the day, Roman has said earlier, North Texas is the second best team in the AAC. Just because they don't have a number in front of them indicating that they're ranked doesn't mean that they're a weak opponent. Night in and night out, the Tigers have especially now since we're in conference play, they have a target on their back. Teams are going to want to play their absolute best to defeat and knock off the Tigers. So the Tigers have to play every single night at their highest and best. And you really need games like this if you're a Tigers fan, especially if you are a Memphis Tigers. Penny Hardaway is probably happy that North Texas gave him a fight because it shouldn't be coasting or at any ease because there's an opportunity to work on your game and to be better. Like we talked about, the indication of the half-court offense. You talk about Haggerty, his impressive ways of just self-creation and creating for himself. In the half-court setting, you still got to find a way to get others involved. That's when you try to come up with dynamic sets and dynamic plays to get yourself and as well your teammates involved. And I like to see Penny do a good job, find some ways to create plays for others and get others to score it with ease. And then I give credit to the coaching staff, the Tigers coaching staff, because they came up with a defensive game plan, like you said, to hold right to 0 points tonight.
0 points.
That was Penny Hardaway and his coaching staff coming up with a defensive strategy with that. That was great scouting. They played great and aggressive defense against them. I feel like it's positives out of this win, even though it was ugly. So it's not necessarily. I understand this wasn't the most prettiest win that the Tigers have had this season, but it's still a lot of pros out of this win, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's no reason to hang your head after this win. I know the name North Texas is not a sexy name. I understand. I get it. But again, in the context of the season, the context of the AAC, like you mentioned, second best team in the conference who played defense. They're one of the best defensive teams in the country, 5th in points per game defensively. Like that, this is a damn good defensive team that's very well coached and very well disciplined. So again, like you said, this is not just some slouch BS win. Now, if the Tigers next game, they have East Carolina at home on the 11th. Now, if that game against East Carolina is similar to this, then I'll kind of understand if people are going to have some concerns. I'll still always take a win over a loss, no matter how ugly the win is. Don't get me wrong. But if that game is like uber close and Memphis looks so sloppy and discombobulated and has no rhythm, has no flow, then okay, like that, there's some credence to being a little bit let down by a close win against an East Carolina team. But against North Texas, no, there's no reason to be disappointed about this win. They both teams executed their game plans pretty well, and Memphis just ended up pulling out the victory. Like I said earlier, teams in the past, like King Meek said earlier, like he said earlier, teams in the past would have lost this game. Last year's team would have definitely lost this game. Yeah. And so I think the comparisons between this year's team and last year's team are kind of null and void to me. I don't think that's really fair. So Zay, let me ask you, who's your player of the game? It's probably easy, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Give me your player of the game, Zay.
I got to roll with PJ Haggerty, man.
Yeah.
That three, that hand grenade.
Come on,
that
man.
He caught and did that really put the top on top of it. But I I give credit to Dane as well. I know he had 7 turnovers, but he played himself a hell of a game. But PJ Haggerty, his ability to create, especially his downhill action, closed this game out. It was phenomenal. As well, man. I'm proud of how Hunter showed up. Yeah. He had a smooth 12 points. But PJ Haggerty is definitely the player of the game. That hand grenade, that's definitely topped it all for tonight.
Man, PJ, I think he's one of the most under the radar players in the country for what he's doing on this Tigers team. He was this good for Tulsa last year, and he's this good for Memphis this year. I mean, he was amazing for Tulsa last year. Just look at his stats, and he's as advertised here at Memphis with this squad, where other people are going to need the ball, like other mouths to feed on this roster. But PJ's still the star. He's still the guy. And it feels like last year's team had David Jones. This year's team has another electric scorer in PJ Haggerty. But I love PJ's activity on the defensive side too. Like I said, he's not the best on-ball defender in the world, but he's active and he'll box out, and he's so good on the glass. He had, let me see how many rebounds he had. Sorry for not knowing that off the top of my head. He had 5 boards today. Yeah. Like that's solid. I don't know what he averages, but it's got to be around there. Like, he's always active. He finds ways to get on the offensive glass and just find ways to impact winning. So I don't know what the player of the year odds or anything like that, but hey, if Memphis is a top 10 team come end of season, that would, A, hell yeah, that would be great. B, if Memphis is a top 10 team in America come end of season, dude, you got to look at PJ Haggerty for play of the year odds, because he's that good. And he would be why. He's the best player on this team. He is so damn crafty as a scorer. He's active as a defender. He's really good on the glass. He's a willing passer as well. I still think PJ's sloppy with his passes, so that's why I said I'm not going to call PJ a good passer. I'll call him a willing. I'll call him a willing passer, because I still think there are times where he forces some passes, some especially cross-court passes too much. He's not the best entry passer in the post either. So, yeah, I'm not going to call him a good passer, but I'll call him a willing passer, which is still what you need from a lead guard. And you have Tyrese, so I think Tyrese is a good passer. So I'll ask you this question as well. It was brought up on the broadcast. What makes PJ, Tyrese, and Colby so good together in your eyes, say?
I think they sort of have similar archetypes in terms of ball handling, self creation, and they are selfless. I know PJ is the team scorer, but they give each other their time to shine. And I can tell those three at practice, they're going at each other in terms of, all right, I'm going to hit you with this move. I'm going to show you how I can do self-creation. And that is basically iron, sharpen iron. And when it's time to go out there on the court and play, they can execute at a perfect manner, because there are times that PJ or Tyrese Hunter isn't going, but hey, Kobe Rogers, you can't forget about him. This is a guy who is a sniper behind the three-point line. This is a guy who can create separation and and make tough shots. And that is why I feel like those three are just are so centric in terms of self-creation and keeping the Tigers afloat every single night. Because if one of them do have an off night, you have 2 others that can help bring the Tigers aboard and carry the offense each and every night. I love those three. I haven't seen a three self-creation
three-headed monster.
Yeah, three-headed monster like this in a while, especially in terms of Memphis, going back in the past and looking in Memphis. And like I said, they're selfless. In the past, David Jones, he was the type of guy, if you knew he was going to, once you pass David Jones the ball, 9 times out of 10,
not getting that ball back.
You were not getting that ball back.
Not getting the ball back.
So
love David Jones, still a bucket, but yeah.
They're a selfless team, and I enjoy watching those three play every single night. And like I said, in terms of self-creation, I have no problem whatsoever which 3 of them having the ball in their hand. I think they can make a play and create and get the ball up and score.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments in the chat too about there's too much relying on self creation, too much reliance on hero ball. You know, I hear it. I understand the sentiment, but I think especially if you look at the game against FAU where they moved the ball so well, they had a lot of assists. That offense was clicking on all cylinders. That is what Penny Hardaway wants, and that is what this team can do. Now, when you face a defense like North Texas is, that's going to grind you down and force you to play one-on-one because they're going to be so disciplined in their rotations and their communication and be so aggressive on the ball, you're kind of forced to play one-on-one basketball. And it's good to know, as I keep mentioning, I'll just keep saying it, it's good to know Memphis can win multiple ways. They can win the game that's a little more free-flowing where they face a team that their offense can be like gorgeous offense, and they can blow a team out against like a solid FAU team on the road. They blow a team out 90-62, but they can also play a defense that's top 5 in the nation in scoring defense, and they can still find ways to put the ball in the hoop. Because at the end of the day, Zay, the point of basketball is getting the basketball in the hoop. That's the point of the game. And
whoever scores the most points wins.
That's the whole point of the game. And Memphis has so many different ways to create a basket. So many different ways. And that's the beauty of this team in my eyes. So again, I get it. I understand why people watch this game and think, oh, there was a fluke win. It was only because of hero ball or shot creation. But that's what the defense gave them. The North Texas, that's what they gave them. They took away the beautiful game that Memphis wants to play on offense because they're a damn good defensive team. But Memphis still found ways to score. And then there were still moments where Memphis did have beautiful offensive possessions. And would you like to see more of those? Of course. Is that a mentality of trying to get into sets quicker? Absolutely. There were too many half-court possessions where Memphis doesn't get into their set till about 10 seconds left on the shot clock. And I'm just looking at the screen, just like trying to pull my hair out. So I'm like, why are we walking the ball up the floor? Why are we so slow getting into a set? But like, look, if I see that, if you see that, the coaching staff sure as hell knows that too. And I'm sure it's a point of emphasis. You know, you heard Penny on the sidelines yelling at Tyrese to speed it up, to go faster. And Memphis just in these half-court type games, they do have to do a better job of getting into their sets quicker. Because I think they have the sets. I've seen it. This offense is good. I think it's a really good offense. And if they can just stop with the turnovers, man, like, golly, just these turnovers, if they can just stop with them, this offense could be really good. Now, I see also comments in the chat. Shout out to Brandon Moore here. PJ Carter led the team with a +17 plus-minus. Didn't score, but was crucial in 10 minutes. Yeah. Great point, Brandon. I like PJ Carter a lot, Zay. I think he's a good glue guy off the bench. I know he didn't hit. He's a sniper from 3. I know he didn't hit one today, but he seems to always play hard and be in good positions. What are you looking for from the depth of this team outside of the guards? Well, let me rephrase my question. Outside of the guards, who are you looking for to step up on a more night-to-night basis? Outside the guards in danger, who are you looking to step up?
I say Jordan is definitely a person that has to step up. He's a guy from last season that played with Penny, understands what should be done. And then, like I said, talked about earlier, he saw how the Tigers collapsed last season. So obviously you don't want that to happen again. And he makes plays time to time, but we just need him to be consistent. We talk about the half-court setting. I think Jordan is a big key to that. If you could just bring him to more so like the free throw line and have him as a hub in terms of facilitating the ball and passing the ball. I've seen Jordan make some marvelous passes in this season and years past, in the past year. Jordan has to step up in terms of, I think, being a playmaker, and besides having your guards always being a playmaker, because the way basketball has changed within the past few years is you have so many of your centers and your forwards touching the ball, having DHO actions as well, facilitating, and that pays dividends because that allows for opportunities for your guards to cut to the rim, score. And when you have your guys like Jordan, who's 6'7", 6'8", he's taller, he's able to look around the floor and pass. But Jordan it's the consistency in his game. We don't know what you're going to get from him night in and night out. You might as well flip a coin. Some nights he is looking really good. Some nights he's not. So, but at the same time, I believe is he a 5th year senior or is he a 6th year?
I think it's 5th off the top of my head.
Yeah, even if you with Jordan, like he has to step up. And like I said, he played with the Tigers last year, so he should have some type of experience of knowledge of what to expect every single night.
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. Jordan is definitely a big one. As Ramon Albright agrees with you, Nick Jordan got to step up. You know, he's we've talked about in the past, when he's on, he is a difference maker. He's like a Draymond Green on the floor, can switch 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5 sometimes. Yeah. Plays with energy, plays with effort. You know, when he's on, he's a big factor. But when he's not on, he's kind of just like a nothing. And Jordan can't be a nothing if this team wants to reach the ceiling that we all think it can. Timo said a similar thing as well. We need more production. Jordan, Cisse, we need 20 points combined for them. That's the only way this team will be successful. Look, Timo, love you, man. If we get 20 points combined from Jordan and Cisse, probably 14 of that's going to come from Jordan, and 6 of that's going to come from Cisse.
Right about that.
I know Cisse. You know, he's an athletic freak. That man he's a large human who is super athletic, can dunk over anybody in the world. But I don't know if we're gonna get. I don't know if we'll get that combined. And if we do, it'll be majority Jordan and Cisse. But I get the point though about getting. You just need more from them. Cisse today was he was so good against Ole Miss. It was by far his best game. He looked like a man amongst boys. But then today you kind of got the Cisse of. You got the bad side of him. 0 points, just 1 block, 1 steal. 1 assist, 1 rebound. 1 rebound from Moussa Cisse, that's not gonna cut it, bro. That's not gonna do it.
It's a mental thing more so. If you establish yourself early, you will have a better rhythm and flow in the game, and that's what Cisse has to do. We knew that Cisse had Ole Miss circled on his calendar that. Tigers were going to play him, and he came out with a lot more energy compared to any other games. But that shouldn't be the case. Play with that energy every single game, and we know with Cisse a lot of the times when the Tigers do try to set him up for opportunities to score, you know, he fumbles the ball, and there's more so of a personnel problem. Like you gotta work on your hands, but. If they could find some actions to throw him lobs or Jordan lobs, that'll open up so much opportunities for our 3-headed monster of Rogers, Haggerty, and Hunter. Because if you have lob threats, and when you have Haggerty and Hunter breaking down the defense, just catch it, throw it up, and have your bigs catch the ball. And that's where we'll have that 20 points. That's where we'll have the 15 to 20 points. But Cisse does do a great job. I mean, defensively blocking, but at the same time, tonight only having 1 rebound is pretty, inexcusable as a big man.
Yeah, that's excusable. I don't know if Penny needs to just be in Moose's ear saying that he's soft again. I don't know what it'll take, but that just can't happen. You know, I understand. Mule Sissoko is a big dude from North Texas. That was a beast. So he had a great game. 17 points, 8 rebounds, 7 for 8 from the field. And he was just as a big man, and he was bodying Dane Danger up, unlike many people in the country can do. Just straight up body Dane Danger. He did, and he was a great force on the boards. But that's when you need the other side of the Twin Towers of Musa and Danger. You need the other one to also be really good and effective on the glass at least. And to get that performance from Cisse is definitely a little disappointing. But I think we'll see him progress and him get into the flow of games. I love your point about trying to get him involved on offense with some lobs, some set plays to get him like really easy looks because, though they try and give him the ball down in the post, it's this is going to sound really mean, but it's almost an automatic turnover. Like if you throw the ball in the post, you can almost just tell the box score guy to just put a turnover in Memphis. It's tough, man. So, yeah, I would love to see Memphis get more creative on getting Cisse and Jordan involved. I love your shout about making Jordan kind of like a hub around the free throw line, extended area to get him the balls in those positions. We saw it in the past. He can hit that elbow jumper. He can hit a turnaround. He can rise up and hit a mid-range shot. And he's also a solid passer as well. So, I think they'll find ways to get him involved. And if they can do so, this offense is basically unstoppable. So I'll ask you, Zay, as we get out of the show, what do you think is the ceiling for this team? What is the ceiling for this Memphis Tigers team?
I definitely see at minimum an Elite 8 run for this Memphis Tigers team. I'm doing an
at minimum.
At minimum.
Ooh, love it.
In terms of like continuity and showing how disciplined this team is, if they could just work on the turnovers, if they work out the turnovers, a lot of the tangibles and greater things will happen. If you fix the turnovers, this team shouldn't really not have a big problem against. I mean, we played some big dogs already this year.
Well,
we played some of the big dogs this year.
We
were able to sustain, and we were able to battle. But our three-headed monster, Haggerty, Hunter, and I'm missing his name right now. I can't get his
Kobe
name.
Rogers.
Yeah, Kobe Rogers. Our three-headed monsters. Like this is what our team is basically made off of. Those three. The paint present of Dane. At times, we're going to appreciate that. But those three-headed monsters, they should be able to carry us with against a lot of these teams, especially when it is terms when it does come to March, when we play those tougher opponents. And like we've already seen them play Ole Miss and dominate. We've seen them beat UConn, and then that was a formidable battle right there. Defense has been playing big dividends for us. When we are strong in the press and we forcing turnovers, we're ready and rolling. I think we can get through those first two rounds pretty easily. Once we get to the Sweet 16, determine on who we're going to play against, maybe that becomes a battle. But I think those first two rounds should be light work, honestly. I'll go ahead and say that. But I see an Elite 8 run at minimum.
Okay. Hey, y'all. Us in the comments I'm with you. I love it. I love the positivity. Timo said, I'll take a Sweet 16 and be content, to be honest. It really depends on matchups. Like you said, Zay, if you get a team that has bigs, we're in for a night. Yeah, like the NCAA tournament, as you all know, it's all luck of the draw. No matter, you could be a 1 seed and, we'll see it get bounced in the first round, Purdue, Virginia. It happened, luck of the draw, matchups, the tail of the tape determines everything. And I think if Memphis can get good matchups, there's no reason that this shouldn't be a second weekend team and make a Sweet 16 because this team is really good. A lot of basketball left to be played. They obviously have to be healthy. So, knock on wood, knock on everything that they'll be healthy. But barring anything unforeseen, I think this team, like you said, there's no reason to think that this team shouldn't win the AAC and get a high seed in the tournament and set themselves up to be in the best position possible to make a run in March and potentially, hopefully, in April as well, and be playing basketball at that time. So I love the positivity, Zay. You know me, I'm a positive guy, so I love hearing positivity as well. All right, Zay, thank you so much, bro, for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you. Let them know what you got going on as well, man.
And I appreciate it, Francis, for allowing me to, speak some time in terms of Tigers basketball. If you don't know, my name is Zay. Zay Time Takes. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I drop content daily, especially about the Tigers and Grizzlies. Detailed content, recaps as well, breaking down plays, especially in terms of how teams run their offense and which ways they can get better, where weaknesses are. So if you enjoy content like that, be sure to follow me. It's Zay Time Takes on every platform. And thank you again, Francis. Like I've always enjoyed any time to talk Tigers basketball with you anytime, whether the Tigers are playing good or bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Zay, again, appreciate you so much. All love for you. Y'all go follow him. The content he makes is second to none. It's awesome. It's so insightful. It's fun. It's engaging. It's everything you want in that type of content. So give him a follow. To everybody who tuned in to Tigers Live for Bluff City Media, thank you so much. I'm Francis Carlota. Don't forget to subscribe to Bluff City Media. Hit the like button, comments. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. Thank you for all the love and support that y'all always show. Next game is January 11th against East Carolina. That game will be at 1 p.m. It's probably on ESPNU. That's my guess. It's not going to be on national television. So my guess is it's on ESPN Plus, not ESPNU. I'm sorry, ESPN Plus. So hopefully you all got ESPN Plus to catch this Tigers team. They're playing good basketball. Solid win against North Texas, 68-64. And let's see where they're ranked. Let's see if they move up in the rankings as well. They might be a top 20 team come their matchup against East Carolina. But again, for Xavier Dodson, I'm Francis Carlotta. This has been Tigers Live for Bluff City Media. We'll see y'all next time, y'all.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.